So in the second part of pricing strategy, we are further going to look at different types of pricing methods. We're first going to look at product mix pricing strategies. Now, if you remember, product mix, we have dealt with the concept of product mix. Product mix basically is a set of all products that a particular seller offers for sale. Now, based on the product mix or how a product forms a part of a product mix, that determines the price of a particular product. And there are the product mix pricing strategies can be broken down into four strategies, which is product line, optional product, captive product, and product bundling. Now, in the concept of product mix, we saw what a product line is and we saw what a product width is. So a company can have different product lines. For example, Samsung can have a product line for TVs, they can have a product line for mobile phones, they can have a product line for refrigerators, so on and so forth. Okay, so in product line pricing, companies develop product lines rather than single products. So that's the focus. So we saw that's how companies build their product mix, where they start building a line, their product line. So based on this, the products, they get their pricing based on their position in the product line. So we can see an example of Bata. I think that's the one we saw in class. So if you look at Bata, they have different types of shoes, and if you look at the formal shoes for men, you would see there are two brands of Bata, mainly two brands of Bata. So one comes under the Bata brand, and the pricing of formal shoes probably starts from around $750 to somewhere around $4,000. And then they have Hush Puppies, which is again sold under the Bata brand, and Hush Puppies brand shoes start from 2,500 to 8,000. So you can see how the pricing, is done across, or the product line is maintained. Here there are two different brands which are selling at different price points. Or the Samsung, going back to the earlier, if you look at the product line of TVs of Samsung, if you were to look online at a particular point of time, the cheapest TV came at 11,500. And then you saw there's a whole product line built for TVs which goes all the way up to 3.7 lakhs, which is obviously the smart TVs. But Samsung has built TVs, or they sell TVs at different price points. Of course, different TVs have different features, and as you go up the ladder, there's definitely new features which are added. But you can see the price point. There's a very clear growth of a product line, and we also discussed how companies, many times they build their product line to match competition also. So when competition comes with the price, you have no option but to match that price, and hence you have so many price points along your product line. So the next one is optional product pricing. Now, we've seen this case earlier also, that there is a main product and then there are accessory products. So the customer can buy the accessory products which are priced differently. Now, as I said, the accessory products are definitely optional. We saw this in the case of cars, where there is a main or a base price, so there is a car which comes with a certain features, etc., which is the base price, and the consumer or the customer can decide to buy accessory products, which is of course optional in nature. And we're seeing that also in the cases of refrigerators, PCs, etc. Just to give you an idea, a Swift Desire probably would come around 5.5 lakh would be the base price. And as you keep adding accessory to it, the same car at the end can also be priced at 8.43, which is the fully loaded car, so to say. So that's optional to customers. And the pricing folly you can see of General Motors happen when you fix your base price and customers come in and realize that it's more of a gimmick, so that can also backfire. So to attract customers, General Motors kept a base price which was actually more of a gimmick, and they found that this finally backfired. So it's always best to place, yes, there is a product which is buyable and there is a base price therefore. And then you have accessory products which can be bought by the customer. We next come to captive product pricing. Now, a shaving set is a typical example where the Gillette Mach 3 razor cost $200 and the subsequent pack, the replacement cartridges, come in an 8-pack which costs $750. So once the consumer invests in the main product, then he keeps buying the replacement cartridges, and therefore that's why we say that the customer is kept captive, right? And it is seen that companies many times they lower the price of the main product and they actually make more profit on the replacement products, which the customer has to keep buying. Another example is printers and cartridges, where once you buy a printer, then the repeated buys is of course of the cartridge, and where that is what is priced at a different, or rather at a price point which makes money for the company. Okay, so this sort of a pricing method is called captive product pricing, and of course the company makes both the main product and the add-ons, so that's why it forms in the product mix. The last one in this category is product bundle pricing. Again, the name is self-explanatory. When a company would combine several of their products and offer the bundle at a reduced rate. So this is done many times to help companies promote a product of theirs which a customer might not otherwise buy. McDonald's combo pricing would be a typical example where they offer, the burger, probably French fries, a Coke, and a smoothie, let's say ice cream or something like that together, giving a price to it. A vacation package, if you were to buy, which includes the airfare, accommodation, transport, food, etc. Or even in FMCG products, where an FMCG company can combine their soap and shampoo and together, bundle it together and give a new price to it. You can see some examples over here of how the prices, when you buy the combination, or you get it cheaper than if you were to buy each of the products separately. Okay. We now look at price adjustment strategies. So this is typically when companies adjust their basic prices to take in account customer differences, changing situation. They adjust their price from their normal price, and we're looking at different ways in which companies can do this. So we're discussing these 5 ways, which is promotional, differentiated, psychological, geographical, and dynamic. So first, let's look at promotional pricing. We've seen this under sales promotion, where companies are reducing prices to increase short-run sales. So a company gives a discount for a certain period of time, or they like a 10% discount for for a week, or they say a discount given to the first 50 buyers, sort of promotion. Why is this done? We saw to induce people to try out a product. Typically when the summer season gets over and you're getting into the next season, you find apparel shops running this so that to clear out the old stocks. It could be to increase seasonal sales, such as Diwali, especially when customers, they get bonuses, typically paid. Companies pay their employees bonuses. People have that extra money, and companies are enticing customers to spend on new products due to the festive season. But continuously running promotional prices has its disadvantages. One, it sets off the price war, as we've seen especially in the case of e-commerce websites, which is continuously running promotions, and there's or the telecom sector, or the taxi online taxi story, Uber versus Ola, where there's a continuous price war that is happening, which doesn't work out well for the company. And the customers then continuously expect discounts. Customers buy only when there are discounts. And from a marketing perspective, of course, marketers don't like discounts because their viewpoint is it erodes the brand's value. But having said that, promotional pricing is a continuous is always there, and it's a one way of attracting or adjust customers. Next is differentiated pricing. That's when you're selling a product or service at two or more prices, and essentially there is no cost difference for the company which is offering this price or service. And we see it many times in services, airline services. If you were to book early, you're able to book at a lower price. Towards the date of, just before the date of flight, probably the highest price, and a few hours before it drops in again. Or probably you are very familiar with happy hours, where if you go during the daytime, you get a much lower price than if you were to go after 6 o'clock or after 8 o'clock. Now this typically happens when for services, definitely like in airlines or hotels, they're inducing customers to, for a hotel especially during a non-peak season, to induce customers to book hotels during a non-peak season. They offer a price, or similarly with happy hours. And an airline to induce customers to book their flights early, because if a customer, they don't want the service to go, it's a perishable, in that it's a perishable product in that way. So you find this sort of differentiated pricing taking place with respect to timing, with respect to location, with respect to usage. So we next look at psychological pricing. In fact, this is a pretty interesting way of pricing. It's more based on the consumer psychology rather than economics. So we're really getting down to the psyche of a customer and trying to understand them. And based on that, we are trying to adjust our price. I'm sure all of you have seen products being sold for $4.99 or $4.90 rather than $500, which is just something which is backed up by a psychological pricing rather than any other, economics, because that 1 rupee or 10 rupees between a $4.90 and a $500, probably there's a difference, a psychological difference which, effect that pricing has on a customer. And typically, whenever a customer does not lacks the information or skill to judge quality, the consumer or customer uses price as the best way of judging quality. So let it be, a perfume that he or she is buying. Whenever they find out when it is higher price, the consumer assumes that the product has a higher quality, right? So that's the way pricing has an influence on psychology. We discussed how furniture pricing, the perception that customers have towards it. I did talk about time when we were pricing the product, how from we priced took our price to the higher side and became the market leader and the highest priced product, and the effect that pricing had on our customers. I also discussed the Subway, where Subway gives the sub of the day, and they wanted to increase the price of sub of the day, for which they first took off sub of the day and then brought it back with a higher price. And again, they're playing with the psychology of customers to be able to make the customer happy. We also looked at the price point of 5 or Punch for Coca-Cola, the iconic advertisement of Amir Khan and Ashutosh Gaurikar, where they came up with Punch Matlab Coca-Cola. So that's again, that 5 was a price point which Coca-Cola thought was pretty attractive, especially in semi-urban areas. Geographical pricing, we're not getting into detail, but especially when a B2B, where there is where the product is being transported to a different location, freight charges and zone pricing, etc., can induce a differentiate or a different pricing. There will be an adjustment on pricing based on where the product has to be transported to. The last one is dynamic pricing, and we saw this has really come into play once e-commerce and online websites have, because we find prices continuously changes. So if I were to look at the price today and I look at it tomorrow, I suddenly find the price has changed. And it could, and there are auction sites also where there are bidding is done. So the coming of e-commerce, the coming of online has really changed the way pricing is, and we find continuous change of prices happening on especially by e-commerce websites. And we also saw which is what is dynamic pricing, and we also saw that the future of pricing would definitely be a product, pricing is priced for an individual, based on probably only that individual gets the product at that price. And this is again will be based on the characteristics and the needs of an individual customer. So that brings us to the end of pricing.